UMC. Welcome to Biz Ed San Diego, here at Spaces San Diego University Town Center. We'd like first to thank our allies. First of all, the venue, which is Spaces San Diego University Town Center. Erica and CJ from Spaces. Cornelius Simon, which is our media guy. Yay! Thank you, Cornelius. Joanne, our lovely coordinator. I'm on the paper, me, your MC. San Diego director, Ana Nieto. And presenter Dave Kehnast. So a quick word from our allies Spaces and live streaming video right now. Okay, so thank you for pausing your week and coming to meet us here, because we all know that action means opportunity, and for business owners and professionals to improve their business, and for speakers to reach their audience. Boost Biz Ed, that's a funky word to say. Boost Biz Ed has been around for 9 years in November. And the purpose is to connect you with information and insights from top business experts like Dave, so you can immediately improve your business. And we're currently in 5 cities and in 3 states. And here we meet on the 3rd Thursday of each month, but this will change and it will become on Wednesdays. So now we want to tell you all about the benefits of being a Boost Biz Ed ally, which is built to provide allies with nurtured leads and to provide them with a proven system for delivering consistent value. And you can inquire about becoming an ally at boostbized.com/ally. And you can find and promote Boost Biz Ed on our website at boostbized.com, on Meetup, Facebook, and Twitter. So for now, let's get on Facebook Live. So on your phone right now, you go to Facebook and you find Boost Biz Ed - positively actionable education. And then you share the live stream, because the more we all share, the more we all benefit from it. Do you need to Boost Biz Ed - positively actionable education. You just share the live stream, so everyone can see you. Introduce yourself. You got it? Okay. So now we're going to move on to introduce yourself again. So again, in 30 seconds or less, just tell us what you do and what you do, and your name and your company's name. Do you want to start?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Jessica. Oh,
yes.
Hi, everyone. I am Jessica Thiefels. I am the founder of Jessica Thiefels Consulting. I specialize in organic content marketing, which means I offer social media coaching and social media consulting. And I also help early stage startups build their blog from the ground up with high value lead driving content to promote their business and drive ROI.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you want to come next?
Hi, I'm Nick Thorsch. I run Internet Marketing Managers, an agency out of Menifee. We serve both local and national businesses. So we have clients that are plumbers, AC, painters, as well as national companies that sell barbecues and on-site storage and do career fairs and things of that nature. All of it is under the same principles and skills of getting you ranked on Google, getting seen via paid, and lowering the cost per lead.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Lisa Benson, and I'm the Chief Visionary Officer of Leads Club. And our purpose is to ensure that all of our members gain the maximum benefit from their participation in our referral marketing organization. We're nationwide and celebrating 40 years.
Wow.
How cool is that? Hello, everybody. My name is Ana Nieto. I am your personal trainer and health coach, helping you get in your best shape in less than 1 hour a week. And I help people with exercise, nutrition, and mindset, because in my experience of 20 years, this is what gets the best results. Thank you.
Okay. Now it's almost time to introduce our... Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you, Josie. Isn't she beautiful? She is so beautiful today. Okay. My name is Joanne Chen, and I'm a member of the Conscious Business Chamber of Commerce. And I'm here to tell you that we have such a great group of people at the Chamber, and I would like to invite you all to join if you're not a member yet. We have opportunities for you to promote yourselves either online or at meetings like this. And also, if you're interested, we have different membership levels. There are certain levels where you get the chance to be a speaker at one of our events or at a webinar for yourself. So we have flyers here that you can pick up. And if you want more information, please go to our website, consciousbusinesschamberofcommerce.com. Thank you.
Okay. Actually, we'll do later with the allies, so you'll have to come up again. So now it's almost time to introduce our speaker, but first let's learn how you can become a speaker yourself.
Are you interested in being a featured expert presenter at Boost Biz Ed San Diego? You can qualify today by joining the Speaker and Event Leader membership of the Conscious Business Chamber of Commerce. Speaker and event leaders for the Conscious Business Chamber pay only $35 a month and receive VIP member benefits, including premier access to opportunities for speaking engagements and podcast interviews, exclusive privileges to promote live events, webinars, and special offers, enhanced member profiles for optimal exposure, and immediate visibility as a leader of our thriving community of 2,000 plus members just in San Diego alone. There are many more benefits to come, and you can join today by visiting consciousbusinesschamber.com and choose membership option, speaker, and event leader.
Okay, it's time to bring up our speaker. So welcome again and welcome Facebook Live to Boost Biz Ed San Diego. We're here for some great networking and to take your business higher, one action at a time. So take some good notes and mark what action you can take immediately. And for those online, please use the comments. So let's learn about our expert, Dave. Yay! I know. Dave Kehnast has been coaching the lives of individuals and business owners since 2011, when he enrolled in the Accomplishment Coaching, an International Coach Federation accredited program where he spent an additional 3 years on the leadership development track, gaining graduate level training under the direction of multiple master certified coaches. Dave has currently accumulated over 2,000 paid client hours in his coaching practice and is committed to the transformation of human beings through the ontological coaching methodology. That sounds very impressive, which is the study of being. He often combines it with practical planet Earth-based spiritual awareness. Dave currently hosts 2 podcasts, one called Fascinating Talks and another entitled Addiction and Redemption: Awakening to Your Hero's Journey, which is currently celebrating over 18,000 downloads. In the former, he interviews fascinating people from all walks of life, while the latter is his harrowing tale of all that he's been through. Dave is living proof that anything is possible for anyone, no matter what goals they set for themselves, and stands for those he works with to be all they can be. He lives in the beautiful Encinitas, California, where he has created his life around his love for surfing and the ocean. He's also recently begun teaching Kundalini Yoga, which is the latest adventure that has taken him out of his comfort zone. Welcome, Dave Kehnast.
Mic. No mic. All right. Thank you, Cornelius.
Turn the mic off.
Is this one good? Check, check. Check, check. I'd like to acknowledge Cornelius. He is the man. I would also like to acknowledge Joanne, and I'd also really like to acknowledge Sarah, who's not here, Sarah Andordel. She's been kind of instrumental in supporting me and sort of moving beyond the edges of my comfort zone in San Diego. So I think they all do really amazing work, and it's a really cool community, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And this is kind of tricky because this was supposed to be here, so I was supposed to be able to, read off of the monitor while at the same time enlightening all of you with my vast knowledge of goal hitting. So we're going to kind of improvise, and one of the things I like to say is that the road to success is paved with awkwardness. So awkwardness happens. You got to deal with awkwardness, and there's no way that I would have gotten to where I am as a coach if I hadn't embraced awkwardness. It's one of the most awkward businesses to ever make a penny in. And I had gotten coach training in 2011, and I hadn't gotten a single client by the end of the training, and I didn't know what the hell I was going to do, and I paid all this money for it, and I literally started walking up to people on the street in Chicago in the rain. I was working for the Red Cross at the time. It's one of those charity canvas fundraiser people that annoys you and tries to get your credit card information. And instead of doing that job, I literally just started walking up to people and handing them a card and saying, "I'm a coach, would you like to talk to me?" And I got my first 3 or 4 or 5 clients literally right off the street. Wow. And I charged them very inexpensive amounts of money. I did not care. I was totally stoked and totally happy to be making money for coaching. Right? So that was kind of how I got started, and it's just sort of you have to embrace what is uncomfortable. And when I just started teaching Kundalini Yoga, and I showed up to teach my class on Tuesday night. I teach in Vista, and the class has traditionally had anywhere between 0 and 3 people in it. And I've just been playing with my visualization, which I'm going to talk about here, and on Tuesday night, 10 people showed up, and they were showing up at the last minute, and I had to get them signed in with their waiver, and it totally took me out of my yoga space and turned me into this, oh no, I got to get these people signed up and to sign this thing in case they die in my class so that I won't get in trouble. And it totally took me out of my element, and that's what I'm talking about. It's you can go, this is a landmark distinction if you heard of the landmark form, but you can go from being in the flow to being in the flood. And that's what happened. I went from being in the flow, and then all of a sudden the flow over flooded, It overflowed rather, and all of a sudden I was in the flow. The flow overflowed, and then I was in the flood. So that's just kind of life, and that's how you grow, because all of a sudden I've got this new unique set of challenges that I'm faced with in this given moment, and I have to make it work, because there's people here. Not everybody there was my friend that night. They were just random people that looked up yoga online and showed up, and so I have to be the guru who knows everything, and I don't. But I had to pretend that I did. I still did the best job I could, and that's really all that matters at the end of the day. So that's just a little preamble. So there's one other thing I wanted to say. Yeah, road to success is paved with awkwardness. So here we are in the middle of adapting. So the 5 steps to hitting goals, they're not like really sequential steps. They're more like 5 elements. And it's really, the way that I like to phrase it is, it's the anatomy of an objective, right? So I just want to break down and just look at the anatomy of any given goal. And goals they're really challenging things. They're really, I'm going to get into all of it, but goals can be scary to set. They can also be scary once we hit them, because once we hit them, then we don't really know what to do with the success or the way of being that results as a result of hitting goals. So the first step in the goal, so a little bit more about me. Who am I? We just covered this, but I'm a surfer. I created my entire life around surfing. So I used to surf Lake Michigan in the winter times in Chicago. I moved here for warmer weather, warmer surfing. I'm a Kundalini Yoga. Kundalini Yoga is known as the Kundalini Yogi. Kundalini Yoga is known as the technology of happiness. It's a very powerful technology, really is what it is. I got into that about 9 months ago, a little over 9 months ago, and now I teach it. I went through teacher training with yoga, and that's the newest thing that I've taken on. And that's one of my coaches reflected to me a while back. He said, Dave, stop creating, or he demanded of me, requested of me, stop creating Dave-sized problems and start creating God-sized problems. So it's always about looking to what the next God-sized problem is. You know, Dave-sized problem is, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I don't, and even a God-sized problem is, now I'm a Kundalini teacher and I need to manage all of these new students I have. That's a God-sized problem, and that requires you to really step into a bigger version of yourself, and that's how you evolve. So that's the latest thing. I love music, I love the ocean, I love driving my car. I rode my bike around the city of Chicago for 11 years, year-round, all year round, through those gnarly winters, dodging traffic, through ice, through snow, through everything. And when I moved here, I bought a car. I hadn't driven in 11 years, and I'll drive a block now. So I swore off bicycle riding forever. I'm never going to ride a bike again. I'm so lucky to be alive. I have 2 podcasts. One is called Fascinating Talks. The other one is called Addiction and Redemption, Awakening to Your Hero's Journey. That's just me telling just this super gnarly, gut-wrenching story of addiction that I went through over a decade ago now. But that's got 57 episodes and 18,000 downloads. And that was another interesting thing, because that was a God-sized problem. Because what if I put this story out and I give this story of all these things I've been to the entire universe for all of eternity? It's preserved on people's files now. I don't know who these people are. And what if I don't want to be a coach anymore? I want to go back to corporate and get a job because of the security, and they Google my name, and here's these raunchy stories of debauchery and everything else, right? But that's a God-sized problem, because now I'll get people emailing me that I've never met from random places in the world saying, thank you for your podcast. This is what I get from it. People I went to high school with sending me emails saying, thank you. I'm so inspired by hearing your story. I never knew you went through that. And so that's sort of like, that's all that I need. That gives me all the reassurance that I need, right? To know that was the right decision to do that. And that required coaching and all kinds of other things. Okay. So more importantly, who are you, right? So, are you living the most amazing version of yourself? And that's really like, it's hard to kind of explain what coaching is about, but ultimately, like at the deepest level possible, life coaching. People have a lot of misconceptions about life coaching. Not so much around here, but back in Chicago, like they just assume that it's about helping you sort out your problems, and a life coach helps someone that doesn't know how to frickin' do life get out of bed and like make their bed and like brush their teeth. They don't know how to do life, so they need a life coach. And that's really not what it is. It's really about, what's the big ass conversation that you want to step into about your life, your purpose, what you're doing here on planet Earth? And what would it look like if you were living from that most amazing, divinely inspired place possible? How much money would you make? What kind of a relationship would you be in? Would you be in the current job that you're in? Would you quit that job and start that business that you've been thinking about? Maybe the coolest people I've ever been able to work with are people that hire me because they want to make a change, and they realize real quickly that they hate corporate America, and they leave it and they start their own businesses, and they just give it to this for the rest of forever. And that's the most satisfying work you can ever do for anyone, is facilitating that process, because it's not what you get by achieving your goals. You actually you become somebody new. So those people are they're like caterpillars that turn into butterflies. You can't go back to being a caterpillar. Right? And so in order to facilitate these conversations with people, you need to be doing your own work. You have to be working through your own God-sized problems. So just check in with yourself. I mean, are you satisfied with the life you're living? Just like the Bob Marley song, right? Open your eyes and look within. So on to goals. So the 5 steps to hitting goals, aka the anatomy of an objective. So the first step is to have a goal. To have an actual goal, right? And this goals can be really tricky. They can be really scary to actually make, because many people avoid setting goals because they are afraid that they will never meet them. And so you'll get a lot of woo-woo language, in the sense that you'll hear people say, and I'm completely guilty of this, I've been guilty of this before, the universe isn't ready for me to hit those goals. The universe isn't ready I'm not ready to receive, $10,000 a month or $15,000 a month. So I've turned it over to the universe, and I'm just going to keep going the way I've been, and when I'm ready to receive, it will be given to me. And you're giving a lot of power away in that conversation with the universe, because you're giving you're sending a very ambiguous message to the all, and so you're going to get ambiguous results, right? So when you work with a goal, you're actually telling the universe, like, I want this relationship, I want this much money, I want this many clients, I want clients that are like this as opposed to like this. So you're sending a very clear message. And it can be really scary to send that message, because it's going to require you to have a lot of faith and trust in the universe ultimately, and it's also going to require you to take action. So this is just an example. So some goals we have complete control over, and others we do not. So for instance, it's easier to hit a goal regarding waking up and exercising every day than it is to hit a specific weight goal. So you have complete control over processes. So you can set a goal to get up every day starting tomorrow morning and exercise for an hour before dawn. That's a process. You are completely in control of that. When it comes down to, are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? It's all about willpower. But declaring, I'm waking up every day for the next week in service of losing 25 pounds over the course of the next 2 months, that's a lot trickier. That's going to challenge an aspect of you, because what if you don't hit it? What if you wake up every day and you exercise for 2 months and then that goal's not happening? Then you need to look deeper. I'm going to get into feedback here later in the talk, but then maybe it's like a question of, it's not just exercise. What else is it? Well, it's my diet. Well, it's, who knows, maybe it's a conversation I'm not having in my relationship that has me holding on to something, right? So you always want to look at, like, when you go after a goal, you want to look at the integrity of your entire existence, your entire life. I mean, I've had clients who've brought up, this is kind of a side note, but I had a client who was constantly late to calls. He was always like 6-7 minutes late, and we have a distinction in coaching. We say if you're late for somebody, it's a fuck you or it's a fuck me. So screw you, you're not worth it, or screw me, I'm not worth it. And I was like, you're always 7 minutes late. Like, what's going on with that? Is it a screw me or is it a screw you? Excuse my language. And he says, well, it turned into this thing, well, my wife always makes me late. That turned into a gigantic conversation about the nature of the dynamic between him and his wife, and he's now divorced and married to a woman who he's very, very, very happy with. That came from reflecting to him that he was 7 minutes late everywhere he goes. And I didn't guide that. I mean, he guided the conversation from there. I just reflected, hey, dude, you're late. What's going on with that? Well, my wife. Well, let's talk. You want to talk about your wife some more? Sure. And then it turned into this. He's in this whole, he got married when he was 23. He didn't really know what he was doing. She didn't know what she was doing. They had a couple kids. They're in the suburbs. They own a house. I was like, well, what do you really want in a relationship? And it turned out it didn't match with what he was in. And it was you can either grow that, or you can kill it, or you can let it die. That's another distinction. And they came to the conclusion that they had to end their relationship, and now both of them are much happier. So that came from that one little reflection. And the reason I bring that up is because you always want to be looking at everything that's going on in your life. Integrity everywhere is everything, right? So that's just a little bit about setting goals and a little side note. So there's processes, and when you set a goal, there's a trust piece. So you really need to set the goal and then trust the universe that if you show up and you take inspired action repeatedly, that the universe is going to do the work. But it's really hard to set a goal and move towards it without action. And this is going to move into actually visualization here. So that's the first step, is actually set a goal. And the goal should make you a little bit uncomfortable, and it shouldn't be, another term we use is magical thinking. So you don't want to work with magical thinking. You know, so if you're making $0 per month, you don't want to say, okay, I'm going to make $15,000 next month. That's magical thinking. But you want to challenge yourself a little bit. Maybe that's 2,000, maybe that's 3,000, right? So first step, have a goal. The second step, and these aren't necessarily in any particular order yet, that's why I call it the anatomy of an objective. But step 2 is visualization. Right? Now visualization is the fun one. Right? There's a million different ways that you can visualize, and there are numerous resources available. And have you guys seen The Secret? Most people have seen The Secret.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah, the guy in The Secret, right, who's unpacking the vision boards. His son is unpacking the vision boards, and his son takes out a vision board, and there's a picture of the house that the guy just moved into on the vision board that he cut out of a magazine years before, right? And that's just like, I've had very magical things happen like this. I had a friend of mine, a former colleague of mine, about five years ago, asked me, Dave, what's your biggest vision for yourself? This was on a Thursday night, and I said, I want to inspire people by the millions. And she said, okay, why don't we release that energy to the universe? So we kind of released it together to the universe. The next day, it's a gloomy February day in Chicago, and my neighbor calls me and says, Dave, there's a dog stranded out on Lake Michigan. I lived right on Lake Michigan on a private beach. And I'm a surfer, so I have all the winter wetsuit stuff, because I would surf out there in the winter. And I looked out, and I saw this dog about a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile out there on this little patch of ice running, and he was sinking through the ice. And fire helicopters and fire boats, they're trying to rescue this little dog. And I was like, I saw the dog, and I turned around in my apartment. I saw my wetsuit sitting there, and I was like, you're the dude. Right? So I put the wetsuit on, I grabbed a kayak, and I paddled out to the dog, and the dog saw me, and he wagged his tail, and he swam all the way in. When I got back to shore, I got bombarded with TV cameras, and they surrounded me, and they were asking me what it feels like to be a hero, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I was like, you've got to be frickin' shitting me. And within 30 minutes, the story had made international news and was on the BBC. And I was on ABC, NBC, ABC. The Ellen DeGeneres show called me, and it went all the way around the world. Well, I mean, to Europe at least, within a half an hour, and I didn't even realize it. I had said I wanted to inspire people by the millions. I did the job that I was uniquely qualified for, and then I inspired people by the millions without even realizing what was happening. And then it all hit me afterwards. I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. And I just felt the universe. I felt God just kind of laughing and just going, ha, 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 ha. You know, don't ever be afraid to ask me for anything too big. And the rub there is that I was completely and totally unattached to the outcome. Right? I just threw that thing out there. I have absolutely no clue how it's going to manifest. I have no real intention of manifesting it, but then I got to show up and do this job. I got to put this wetsuit on. I actually have to risk my life. I have to go through this little ice things. They're telling me not to go, but I was like, this lake is my backyard. I know it like the back of my hand. So it was like I had to show up and just do Dave's job. There's nobody else's job in the world there was nobody else's job that is other than mine. And that was just one of those really amazing moments that I had. And that started with, just visualization and just telling the universe what I wanted there. So you can get really lost in the process. There's a wealth of resources. Kelly Howell, this woman, she's narrates The Secret. You can buy her CDs off iTunes. They're great. I like to pay for them because it's manifestation. I don't like to just rip them off YouTube. I don't mind spending $10 on them. You do whatever you want to do. So here's the thing. I said, however, that was the last bullet point. So you need integrity. Right? So this is the integrity piece I want to talk about. This is kind of a side note. This could be its own category in and of itself, which is integrity. So integrity is when your intentions, your words, and your actions are all lined up. Right? Inspiration plus integrity equals infinity. So I was inspired to inspire people by the millions, right? And then integrity was put on the wetsuit, get in the boat, get the dog. And the infinity was that thing manifesting that I said it would manifest. So you always need to align your intentions, your words, and your actions. It's access to manifestation. You can visualize all day long, and things will very often happen for you when you visualize, but you need to show up. So I need to show up today if there's 3 people, 5 people, 7 people, or 50 people. Right? That's the integrity piece. Same with what I was referring I talked about with my yoga the other night. I literally have taught yoga to 0 people in the studio, to imaginary people, right? And that's just the integrity piece, because I just call it God, whatever you call God. God is watching me there. God's like, I saw you teaching to 0. Here's too many people, right? And so that's the integrity piece. Integrity is access to power, as I think I mentioned. So just intentions, words, and actions equals integrity equals power. Now, this is where it gets a little complex, because people don't, and we're going to talk about feedback here in a bit, but people don't realize what their intentions are often. So for instance, in the creation of relationships, people don't realize that their intention may very well be to sabotage every single date that they go on. That's subconscious programming, right? So that's where coaching gets a little deeper. It's like, well, tell me about, did your mother abandon you as a child emotionally, left and right? Right? Well, what went on there? So then your intention is actually to recreate that childhood dynamic, which all of a sudden we're in a much deeper conversation, right? So you've got a goal, right? You want to be in a relationship, and your intention is actually, you think it's one thing, you think it's to fall in love, but it's actually to have you get kicked in the face again by another potential romantic partner, right? So then if that actually is your intention, now there's some deeper work to do. Maybe there's like some 12-step work or some therapy, and I'll refer you to my therapist, or maybe you need to go to a shaman, like you mentioned. There could be a number of different things, not to out you. But intentions can be a very, very slippery thing, right? Because if I'm not careful, my intention could very well be, like if I didn't look in the mirror today and make sure I could maybe have a little bit nicer of a shirt on, but I ironed this before I came. I wasn't going to. It was all wrinkled, right? And that intention is just to show up unkempt. That's just my subconscious intention there is to sabotage my power. And that goes back to childhood, and it's all a work in progress, and we're all a work in progress. But that's just an example from my life, right? So intentions, words, plus actions equals integrity. So you need to visualize, and then pay attention to the inspiration. So it was like, I want to get more clients. I want to speak more. And then I went surfing or whatever, and I got this idea. Well, maybe you should send Joanne or Sarah a message, and here we are, right? So you don't need to overthink what the action's going to be. You will, if you're present, you'll kind of get guided. So that's a side note, integrity. So step 3, integrated structures. So we also call these structures sufficient to resistance. So I was in a business networking group in Chicago for four years, I think. And it was on Tuesday mornings at 7 o'clock. It's called BNI. I don't know if you've heard of BNI, Business Networking International. And it completely sucked. I woke up, the meeting was at 7 o'clock a.m., right? I live on the far north side of Chicago. The meeting is downtown. And it was every Tuesday morning, and I would wake up and I would put the nicest clothes I could fit. Sometimes I would fit nicer clothes in my bicycle messenger bag, and I would ride 10 miles, leaving my house by like 5:50 to be at the BNI meeting on Tuesday mornings. And none of us were happy. It was like the worst thing ever. We would get there and we would just start pounding coffee. And nobody was happy to be there, but we all gave each other a lot of business, and that was an integrated structure. That was a structure sufficient to my resistance, because if I put my name to something, I'm reliable to show up. If I tell you I'm going to be somewhere, I will be somewhere. If I don't tell you I'm going to be somewhere, if I don't tell you I'm going to meet you, like the chances of me meeting you are very slim, right, if that makes sense. So this right here, this is an integrated structure, because I told them I would show up, and I was like, well, is it going to be 3 people, 1 people, 5 people, 10 people? It doesn't matter. This is a structure, and I've put my name and my reputation and my business on the line, so therefore I have to show up to it. Same with the yoga example. That's an integrated structure. Same with my podcasts. I have listeners that want the next episode to be released. So I've got a structure sufficient to my resistance, and that structure are the people who are listening. Right? Same with when I interview people on the other podcast. That's a structure. If I tell Cornelius, hey man, we're going to do an interview at 2 o'clock on Friday, you bet your ass I'm going to show up. Right? But if I don't, like I've actually been meaning to reach out to Cornelius, if I don't have that structure solidified, I'm much less reliable to show up. Right? So structures are also tantamount.
Kind of like accountability.
Yeah, accountability could be, but here's the thing about accountability, a lot of people aren't good at being accountable. So that's why you want to look for the structure that's actually going to keep you accountable. For me, it was 7 a.m. business meeting downtown Chicago on Tuesday mornings, because I've paid my money, and you can't be the life coach that doesn't show up. And that just looks terrible, right? So I have a lot of resistance. Resistance plays it takes up space in my head, so I need to make sure that I have a structure that's sufficient to overrun it, to override it, right? This right here is a structure. So it's up to you to create whatever works for you. Some people coaching, like my coach alone doesn't work, and I know that. You know what I mean? I need to put my reputation and my name at stake with various people all over the place to get me to show up. That's just the way it is. And I'm very good at showing up for bosses, but for when you become an entrepreneur, it can be a little trickier, you know, because you don't have anything planned. You don't have anything planned. So anyway, so next is measurements. So how are you measuring your progress? Right. So I have a working metric. So approximately every third person I talk to becomes a client. If we do a consultation, there's like about a 1 in 3 chance that you'll sign up with me, right? And that equals, if you complete the contract, that leads to a specific amount of money, right? So if I'm not hitting my goals, I can just look back and see if I put in enough work in the last few weeks. So it's like I didn't get a client last week like I said I would. Well, did you do 3 consultations? No. Well, there you go. You know, now if I do 10 in a row, which has happened, and I don't get 1 client, then there's something else to look. There's somewhere else to look there. It's like, well, how am I being with my clients? Like, was I fully present? What was going on in my personal life that had me not be fully present with them? But typically, this is kind of how it lands every time. It's roughly every third. And when I worked in corporate America as a software salesman, they give you the measurements. They're like, here, you have to sell $150,000 worth of software this quarter. Right? And so the measurements from there are very, very simple. I would have to make 50 cold calls per day was required, and that was to set 1 appointment. 5 appointments per week equaled 3 that would run because people would flake out. That's just the way. That's just how people are. And then that would equal typically 1 legitimate quote in your pipeline, and your job is to build up your pipeline. And I'm not a very good salesman. I've never been. I'm like, people think that I would be, but I'm really not. You bring an objection, I'm just like, oh, okay, I understand. Sorry. It's just how I am. So my measurement, I had to tweak my measurement because 50 cold calls, for me, I would need to make 100 a day. So I need to set 2 appointments per day, or like 7 or 8 a week, because I knew that when that objection come, I wasn't going to handle it, so I had to tweak my measurement. So when you're working with measurements, you can just get very specific. How many people did I talk to this week? Like same with people will avoid going on dates. It's like, you want to be in a relationship? How many dates did you go on in the last month? 0? Okay, well, there you go. And there's just when you work with metrics and specific numbers, they completely trump all of the stories that you have about yourself. Now, if I am running a lot of appointments and I'm not getting hired, that means I need coaching, I need some feedback, which we're going to talk about next, on the way that I'm being and the way that I'm doing business, and some of the things I'm saying and some of the things I'm not saying, right? But I've got I've got some sort of gradient, not gradient, but I've got something to work from specifically, okay? So measurements is that's that for measurements. So just ask yourself, what are your measurements? I mean, you're here today, so this is a measurement, right? So how can you take what you gained today and, who can you reach out to? How many coffee dates exist as a result of this experience? And then how can you work that into a metric that works for yourself, right? So measurements are great because they just give us very specific insights. And then finally, so everyone's least favorite is feedback. So you need to get feedback. You just need to get feedback. So it's typically something we do not like, but we need very badly. So I did this yoga class on Tuesday night, and it was totally wacky. I mean, I was not ready for it, and it just hit me out of left field. I'm not used to that sort of thing happening. And I asked a friend of mine who was there for some really I needed feedback. I needed to know. And she said, well, you gave your back to half the class for half the class because I was focused on people pleasing this little section of the class that was over here and wanting them to see things. I had no idea this was happening. Right? She's like, it would be better if you just faced everybody head on, and now you know. And there's no way that you can get better. There's no way you can grow. There's no way you can evolve without getting feedback. And as far as ontological coaching, which we mentioned, ontological coaching is the study of being. It's all about the way you're being. So it has nothing to do. It has a lot to do with what you're doing, but that being, the doing comes from a being, and it's fascinating because I was listening to ontology in general is fascinating. I was listening to a talk by Elon Musk on the Joe Rogan podcast. It's been talked about a little bit on social media. Elon Musk has the most fascinating way of being. He's just like, he's got this relationship with, without getting into like the things he does that people say are unethical and all that, like that's irrelevant to me, because what I'm fascinated with is the way he is being. He is in a conversation with the universe that is just fundamentally beyond the average human beings. And his being has him doing things that are, he looks at the traffic in LA and says, there's too much traffic in LA, I'm just going to dig a tunnel under LA. It's like and the way he talks about it as the simplest thing. He's like, yeah, it's actually pretty easy. I mean, we just hired the contracting company, and it's really not that hard to dig a tunnel. And there, you know, earthquakes can't get them, because imagine if you're underneath the ocean, the waves don't affect you. It just kind of does this. And I'm like, whoa. The doing of that is very simple. Just dig a tunnel under LA. But the being is what is what is creating that. And it's not the brilliance either. It's not the intelligence. There are a lot of people that are in that intelligent. There's a being behind that doing, right? So we often want feedback. You always want to get feedback on the way that you're being. And entrepreneurs, particularly solopreneurs, are really good at having very wacky beings. Like if you go to a BNI networking meeting, like nobody knows who the hell they are. It's so funny. There's just like a lot of blind spots in relationship to the way that they're being. And it's like, I can tell that you don't care about my health needs. I can tell that all you care about is your bottom line. And it doesn't, whether or not you're an intuitive or not, you're going to pick up on that. And the job of coaching is to say the things to the people about the way they're being that, first of all, either the people in their immediate experience don't even pick up on, and then secondly, if they do pick up on that, they don't have the heart to tell them. So it might be like, you have very offensive breath. You know, you need to say the exact thing that needs to be said to the person in service of them being their greatness. You know, you have a very passive-aggressive attitude with every single person you bump into. Are you aware of that? My thing is righteousness. I can get very spiritually righteous really quick and come off as really snooty. And what that actually is, arrogance is a righteousness mixed with a fear. So what's really going on when I'm doing my like snotty, I'm smarter than everybody thing, is I'm deeply afraid of you knowing something about me. So I'm going to put up this wacky barrier to make sure that you don't get close, and you're going to be turned away. You're going to be turned away by that. And if I don't have an awareness around that, if I don't have a coach, people I know in my experience reflecting that my righteousness has been showing up a little more than usual lately, that dynamic is going to run me. Right? So that's feedback. So you always want to get feedback, and I recommend very good, powerful coaching for feedback. You just got to know the way you're being, right? So that's it. Those are the 5 steps. So other considerations, it's helpful to look beyond what's comfortable. So this is your comfort zone, right? This is what's possible. So and the difference is that'll come through a Facebook feed. That'll be a social media meme, and that's something you'll click like on. But ask yourself, what would it really be like to put that into application in your life? God-sized problems will take you outside of your comfort zone. You-sized problems will keep you running around inside of it. So what is possible exists outside of what's comfortable. And then action is what opens you up to receive what you ask for in your visualizations. So you can visualize until the cows come home, then you got to pay attention for that little nudge from the universe that says, go do this, and then you got to go do it. And that could be like, ask that person on a date, start that podcast, ask that person if they want to do a consultation with you, pitch that person in that elevator. It could be any number of things, but action is what opens you up to receive. And I think that's it. Yeah, so to recap, the 5 steps, the anatomy of the objectives are: have a goal, visualize that goal, work with structures, measure everything, and get plenty of feedback. So, side note, integrity, always be challenging the edges of your comfort zone. So the side note is integrity, that awareness around integrity, intentions, words, actions, and then always be asking yourself, how can I expand beyond what's comfortable? So that's it. Thank you all very much for listening to me today. Yeah. Questions, rather.
So with your experiences with your visualization, do you do a lot of study on it? I want to kind of hear your personal experience. Do you spend a considerate amount of time holding that image, holding that imagination, that visualization, or is your approach, I visualize it, I think about it periodically, but I'm not sitting there for 10, 15 minutes visualizing myself? How do you incorporate it in your life?
I incorporate it I actually take time out of my day to visualize, and it's more about artificially connecting to the experience that you want. Right, so if you watch The Secret, it says get in that, pretend you're sitting in your car and wrap your hands around your car. So test drive the car you want. Like all this stuff, all the woo-woo stuff completely works, right? But we live in SoCal and there's a lot of emphasis on the woo-woo and the visualization and the universe, but not an emphasis, okay, well, what are you going to go do to have that manifest? So you want to work with both. Right? And a lot of people get tons done just from no visualization, just doing. So integrity speaks for itself in so many different ways, but when you add that element, you'd be amazed.
That's what I've been struggling with is, you can have, say, for example, a monetary goal.
Yeah.
We make X amount per month. We still need to have the means, the vehicle to get there,
right.
too. And that's sometimes where I get stuck. It's like, all right, well, I've got all these things, but it's like the more I try to take on, the more overwhelmed and stressed I get. So then there's that resistance.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. Like the relationship to overwhelm and stress, and what's the payoff in that, what's the cost, and what's the benefits, and all of that.
Restructuring things to do things in a blissful, joyful way versus stressful.
Right.
Because then everything comes up or goes haywire. Like you get too many people at your yoga thing.
Well, people get caught in what are called contexts, and a context is a fixed way of being. So people will do everything from a place of performance. So it's like performing will only get you so far. So that's where it comes into feedback. Like, you notice you're performing all over the place? What if you weren't performing? What if you were just trying to get these people to have the best insurance, plan possible, or whatever?
Or your body starts saying, I need a vacation.
And your body says, we've been performing too much.
Exactly.
Been redlining it. Yeah.
Yep. So, any other questions? And then if anybody would like to do a complimentary consultation with me, just let me know. It's totally free, no cost, no obligation. We go over very specific goals that you want and
Question.
put you a choice if you'd like to move forward, but either way is fine. Yes?
Maybe you can repeat my question. I'm not sure if the mic is working, but what is one challenge that you can give us today that we can execute right away?
It depends on if you're in business that requires appointments, set one appointment before the end of the day. Or if one is easy peasy, set 5. But set some sort of goal, God-sized goal, that's worthy of you for you to hit by the end of the day, and not a process. Not I'm going to go running. Like I'm going to put a qualified person into my pipeline. And then visualize that, and then, you just go on social media. Your people are waiting for you. You'll see, coaching. Facebook is so cool because somebody will come through my feed. It's like, I need to quit my job and start a bakery. And it's like, okay, hey, would you like to talk to me about quitting your job and starting a bakery? And that's it. Then just surrender it to the universe. But you've done your part. But what happens is people let their fear get in the way. They I don't want them to think I'm weird. I don't want to be judged. I don't want them to think I'm selling them. I don't want da-da-da-da-da-da. And that hijacked your inspiration. Your inspiration said, reach out to that person. And there's one person I've coached for years. And I was resistant to sending a Facebook message out to her years ago because I was afraid she was going to think I was a blah, 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 blah. Right? And she's got a transformed existence because I chose outside of that fear. So that's a whole other conversation about fear and resistance and purpose versus resistance and whatnot. Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I would like to encourage everybody here in the meeting or online to write down your action for today they're going to complete. So for those of you who are on location right now, you all should have a feedback form. And at the bottom of the form, there's a place where you can write that particular action for yourself. You could tear off that piece of paper and take it home with you. And please update us on the event page how things go with you today. And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That was really inspiring, Dave.
Thank you.
And I like the measurement idea because you don't hear that enough and it makes so much sense. So now it's going to be time for our allies to take the stage and tell you all about our services. So since I'm here, I'm going to start. As I said, I'm a personal fashion stylist, and there's different kinds of fashion stylists. A lot of them focus on color, like your best colors, and they focus really on that. I focus on your personal brand. because my goal is for entrepreneurs and speakers to magnetize their ideal clients through their personal brand. And it's a psychological driven methodology that I use to brand people. And I also teach my clients how to look more expensive so that people look like really credible the minute that they step in front of their ideal clients. And so then my clients make more money. So that's what I do. I have a upcoming online course coming up. It's geared towards women, and it's an online course that teaches how to look more expensive and how to unveil your personal brand. And it's coming up in the winter is the goal date. If you're interested, I have like pre-sale tickets, and you can come and talk to me. Cornelius.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cornelius Simon. Those watching live, I'm the guy behind the camera, so hopefully the quality was good and you was able to hear what Dave had to present. Very, very good topic. Very good topic. Love your. I've heard a lot of goals. I heard a goal setting one yesterday, but you had some uniqueness in that really pricked my spirit to hear. So thank you, Dave, for that. What I do, I wear multiple hats, but let's say the hat I have on today is the video guy. My company is Live Streaming Video Pro. If you are looking for someone to come in and help you do a speaker's reel or do a promo video for your program launching or commercials, anything like that, I have the gear to come in and do that for you. So reach out to me on Facebook, Cornelius Simon, Live Streaming Video Pro, and love to talk with you more about your what you got coming up. Thank you.
Hello again, everybody. My name is Joanne Chen. I want to thank Dave first and foremost for this topic because I feel like I'm a testament of how the process could work. I set a goal or intention last year to start doing stand-up comedy. And I can't tell you how many doors doing that has opened for me professionally and more importantly, personally. It's a long story that you can ask me later after the meeting, but basically what happened was because of my involvement in comedy, I was able to meet this incredible comedian, Robin Williams impressionist. His name is Roger Kabler. And just meeting him, getting him to, he offered to give me notes, and which I was able to use for my showcase and had a great experience. And now he's asked me to promote his film project, which is going to be based on his whole journey of creating this Robin Williams tribute experience show that he's been touring all over the country with. It's based on this journey of creating this show with the spirit of Robin Williams. And it's going to be such a heartwarming, passionate, funny story that I'm helping him to promote this film. And we actually have a fundraiser on GoFundMe.com. And if you donate anywhere from $10 to $50 this week, we actually have an anonymous donor who's willing to match 100%. So I have some flyers here for everybody. Here is Roger playing Robin Williams. And also I will be dropping the donation link on the Biz Ed San Diego website. And as I said, it's been an incredible journey. My name is Joanne Chen from Joanne Chen Coaching and also Being Robin Film Production. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Anna, want to take your turn? You're in LA? You don't? Okay. Okay. Okay, so Ann Bennett is our official sponsor for today's event, and she has a special offer for our group, and we're going to play the commercial. Now it's time to announce our upcoming events is going to be Wednesday, November 14th, and the speaker will be our own Ana Nieto, who is our new director in San Diego. And I would like to thank you all for attending today's workshop. Don't forget to fill in your forms and what action you're going to take. So now is that we've left this time for the most important actions we can take today, and that is elevated networking. So we can all I'm going to grab all your business cards because everything you do is something that's interesting. So thank you for coming and see you next time.